What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Revival. My name is JJ, and it's review time again. I typically, for my other ones, have done older games. I thought this is still not like a brand new game, but it came out this year, 2019, when I'm putting this out. It's newish, but it's the newest game that I reviewed for sure on the channel, and that is Kingdom Hearts 3. So let's get into it.
The Kingdom Hearts series and myself have a long history of going back and forth between love, confusion, and disappointment. For example, I played Kingdom Hearts 1, loved it, then played Chain of Memories, hated it, then played Kingdom Hearts 2, loved it again, then played Dream Drop Distance, not a fan, then came Birth by Sleep, incredible. All the while I was still pretty confused as to the overall plot and story of the series, and typically had to give myself a refresher before starting a new game, as well as having Google handy to look up character names or terms while playing through them. What drew me to the series was the initial promise of Final Fantasy and Disney, two names that I had grown up with and come to feel a deep personal connection with. So when I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I loved being able to see many of my favorite Final Fantasy characters brought to life with voice acting and new visuals. Unfortunately, the Final Fantasy characters have all but left the series in Kingdom Hearts 3, with only a few mentions of character names here and there. However, I wasn't as disappointed as I thought I'd be, as even though the initial promise was a combination of the two, over time, the Kingdom Hearts series itself had taken on a life and personality all its own. The story in Kingdom Hearts 3 is complex. That is to say, the overall story for the Kingdom Hearts series in general is complex. I'll be honest, I'm still not entirely confident that I'd be able to explain what happened, as well as how we got there throughout all these games. There's so much to take in and so much to remember and keep track of that I don't think I could do it justice if I did try to just give a solid analysis of the overarching plot.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's bad by any means. I'm just saying, like, if you really want to get an in-depth look and understanding about the story of, like, Sora, Riku, Aqua, Mickey, the whole cast, and the worlds and everything, Organization 13, your best bet is going to be to look up some videos online and look at like deep dives that other people have done that will really help you kind of understand the overall plot. I'm not saying I didn't like it or that I am trying to discourage you from learning about it or anything like that. I'm just saying for the purposes of this video, I just don't think I can do it justice because a lot of it went over my head.
However, the overall plot isn't really what's made me want to play every game in the series. What did it for me was the smaller side stories that are contained with each Disney world that the player visits in each game. Kingdom Hearts 3 has some of the best and most detailed worlds in the entire series. I love being able to explore a giant mall with Buzz and Woody from Toy Story, sail the open ocean with Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean, and wandering around Corona with Rapunzel and Flynn Rider from Tangled. These locations were an absolute joy to play around in, and strikingly different from one another. On top of that, each world not only has its own self-contained story, but even the gameplay varies in the different encounters that Sora and his friends must overcome. If your thing is the main Kingdom Hearts plot, you might be a little disappointed in that very little of it gets resolved or even addressed until the very end. However, if you look at each world that you visit as a new experience, and in some ways a new game, you'll find a lot to love here. While each world contains its own unique self-contained story that runs alongside its corresponding Disney movie, you'll also find that several of these worlds change up the gameplay in really fun and interesting ways. Sailing around on a pirate ship, taking flight with Baymax, and getting to pilot a various assortment of giant toy mechs, for example. As far as the normal gameplay, if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2, you have a pretty good idea of what to expect here. action combat mixed in with some menu commands that flow together pretty well. And Kingdom Hearts 3 just feels much tighter and more fluid than the other games, which is a welcome improvement. The controls are tight and responsive, and the moves are flashy and brilliant.
My one gripe, and I hesitate to even use that word because it's something you can control, is that the special moves tend to proc a lot. You'll be fighting like normal, and then you'll see a prompt come up to push a button for a special move. You'll hit it, and then you'll go through this long, flashy animation where you've got a little bit of movement and maybe some button timing things that you have to do. You'll do a bunch of damage, ends, back to combat. Within 5 to 10 seconds, you'll see another prompt come up for another special move. And it's like, oh, okay. Before you push that, sometimes you'll see another one or two pop up on top of it saying, like, when you finish this, we've got more for you to go ahead and do it. And it's just like special move after special move after special move. Granted, like I said, you can skip that, absolutely. But, I mean, why would you? There's a lot of damage you can do there.
Again, this isn't that much of a gripe considering you can absolutely just skip using these altogether. Or just use them only when you feel like. But for me, I have a habit of pushing those prompts when I see them on my screen regardless. I just personally wish they would have been spaced out a little more, though it's not even remotely a deal breaker for me when looking at the big picture. The gummy ship is also back, this time with a little more depth, just like the jump from Kingdom Hearts 1 to 2. Though, I confess, as with the other games, I really didn't mess with it as much as I could have. I think if you enjoyed the gummy ship mechanics from the other two games, you'll be more than happy with the upgraded system here. Overall, Kingdom Hearts 3 as a whole has so many different bells and whistles when it comes to the gameplay, that even if the standard action combat isn't for you, there are so many different gameplay modes to play around with that you're bound to find something you enjoy. When it comes to the visuals, this game is absolutely gorgeous. While I was a little disappointed with how restricted some of the worlds felt in Kingdom Hearts 2, Mulan's world comes to mind, would have loved to have been able to explore that way more than just a couple of tiny screens. Kingdom Hearts 3 makes each world feel vast and expansive. I think the only one I wasn't crazy about was Monsters Inc., but even in that world there was a lot of attention to detail and plenty to see and do. The vistas in Olympus, the flora in Corona, the islands in the Caribbean, the city in San Francisco, I can't think of any world that didn't have at least a few times that make me want to just sit back and admire the scenery. Combat visuals are stunning and fluid, with animation that flows seamlessly alongside the gameplay. The developers knocked it out of the park when it comes to how beautiful and smooth this game runs. I really can't think of anything to criticize when it comes to how this game looks.
If I had to choose one thing about the visuals that maybe didn't work with me as well as some other people, and this is totally a personal thing, it's just that I've never been a big fan of Nomura's character designs. And I realize that's a hot take, and I'm sorry. If you love his designs, awesome. By all means, more power to you. It's just for me, I've just never been a crazy fan of like the ultra boy band spiky hair like look that he has with lots of buckles and just zippers, and I don't know, it's just never been for me. Not that they're bad, and I 100% do not hold it against the game at all. I'm just saying, like, the visuals are so good in this game that literally the only thing for me personally that I can find that's, quote, wrong with it is that I'm just not a fan of the character designs.
On the sound side of things, I think it's not a stretch to say that for me, Kingdom Hearts 3 has hands down the best soundtrack in the series. The music is emotional, powerful, and uplifting. It's got that Disney charm mixed with that square-enix sense of adventure that tells a story just by listening to it. When you combine something like that with a game that has so much character as Kingdom Hearts 3, you know almost immediately that you're in for something special. Again, if I absolutely had to nitpick one tiny thing about the music, it would go along with the frequency of the special moves that prompt the player. Each time you use one, the music changes, and a lot of the generic moves have the same music playing in the background, so get ready to hear that same song a lot. As for the gameplay sound itself, I have no complaints. The voice acting is solid, and the effects fit perfectly with the on-screen action.
So, there you have it, my review on Kingdom Hearts 3, the first new-ish game that I got to review. I love this game. It's, for me, the best in the series, hands down. I loved getting to play through all the other ones. There were some great ones and some not so great ones. But it all culminated in a wonderful, wonderful experience. Absolutely cannot recommend this enough. If you're coming into it as a Kingdom Hearts fan, again, like I mentioned earlier, I would say for sure, like, unless, because I know a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans are really passionate about the story, so you may already know everything that happened and have it all, on lockdown inside your brain. Good for you. I could not, because there was so much to take in. I would recommend for many others who are a fan of the series, but might have not played it in a while or need a refresher on the story, go look up a refresher on the story, or just play through the games. But there is a lot to take in regarding that. If you're new to the series, again, you can do that absolutely. But honestly, even if you don't care about any of that stuff, just playing the game for the worlds and the experiences that you have within each one is totally worth it, in my opinion. I had a blast doing those. Like I said, my favorite parts were the individual worlds that you got to go to and those self-contained stories from each one. So, definitely enjoyed it. Highly, highly recommend this game. And I'm sure if it passes any indication, this will get re-released 40 more times in the next 10 years. I'm sure they'll have a big collection at some point before the next one comes out. But it's a really, really good experience. And if you're a Disney fan, if you're a Square fan, this is definitely worth a look. So yeah, that's my review of Kingdom Hearts 3. Longer than my other ones, for sure. It took me a while to write, too. But thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Everybody that's been so supportive, and I love when you guys comment. I love talking to you. So please, by all means, let me know what you thought. If there's any games out there you want to see me review or anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I said comment twice. I realize that, but it's late and I'm kind of tired. So thank you for watching, and as always, keep on gaming.